Welcome to Disrespectfully Agree with Oatman and L.J. I am L.J. Across from me is Mr. Oatman.
What's good, party people?
On this week's episode, we will discuss the hit phenomenon, the latest from Steven Spielberg, Ready Player One, written by Zach Penn and Ernest Cline. Based on the novel by Ernest Cline, this film stars Ty Sheridan, Olivia Cook. Ty Sheridan, you may recall from X-Men Apocalypse. He played Cyclops, the perfect man to play the most annoying, bland X-Man. And Olivia Cook, you might recall from Me and Earl and the Dying Girl. This also stars T.J. Miller, Ben Mendelsohn, and Mark Rylance, who is one of Spielberg's favorite actors to work with these days, collaborate with. You may have seen him in Bridge of Spies with Tom Hanks. Quick recap of the film. It's Willy Wonka, the action movie. Okay. We'll start off with non-spoiler reactions, and then I'll clearly announce we'll dive into the spoiler section in case anybody hasn't seen it yet. What was your anticipation leading up to this film?
Well, the novel was, as fans will tell you, the novel was such a fascinating world. The first thing is pretty obvious. I'm not going to try to reinvent the wheel here. The first thing you wonder for a film like this, can it encapsulate all that the book talks about and envisions in a 2-hour movie? So the question is, can they achieve that goal of creating this entire sprawling world that is the book?
The answer is always no.
Yeah, the answer is usually no, but can they at least approximate something that's satisfying? There have been those who have at least approximated something close to satisfying.
But did you want to see this film? Have you read the book?
I did not, and I don't read. I rarely read the book. Every now and again, I may read a book on tape or listen to a book on tape. Mm-hmm. But I did read about the book, and when I first saw the trailer, I didn't want to see it. It just looked like a kids' movie to me, and it looked like a mess. So much was happening in the clip. It just looked like a total mess, and I was like, ugh. Pass. Mm-hmm. But I was coerced by you and others.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
this was not my choice.
I'm putting it on you.
No.
This is in your bucket.
Specifically, we recorded a different episode, and at the end of it, you said, "You know what we should do? Let's go watch that Ready Player One." And to which I said, "Do we have to?" And
I remember
said,
you saying, "Michael, get your black ass up."
No,
and we're going to see Ready Player One. And I was like, "All right, LJ,
No.
That's not how it happened."
That is not how it happened.
Wow, I don't know why I remember it that way.
Yeah, memory's funny.
You know what they say about America? It's like two countries.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no. There haven't been divisions at any point in our history until recently. I can't remember a single moment, a defining historical American moment, any time prior where maybe...
That's where it happened, right there.
It was Ready Player One.
That's the one that broke it. That broke the dam.
All right. Well, America's over, everybody.
So, yeah, when I watched it, I was like, it's Steven Spielberg, so it's got to be kind of good, because his name is usually...
Did you see Kingdom of the Crystal Skull?
I did.
And?
I compare that to marital sex. That was at the end of a long run of good stuff.
Like as the divorce proceedings are continuing apace?
You almost got to give them a mulligan on that. You give them a mulligan on that. That's one of those things that you kind of got to do. The fans want it. You got to continue it.
The fans wanted Indiana Jones. They did not want the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
No, in other words, I'm just saying you could almost forgive a really shitty sequel. That happens sometimes.
All right, yeah, fine.
So I'll give you a mulligan on that. But usually his name is attached to some quality. Typically.
Right.
Even the stuff that I don't like.
Fair enough.
It tends to be fair.
Absolutely. He is, if nothing else, he is a tremendously skilled artist.
Dude can tell a story.
He's a craftsman like few have been.
Yeah.
Tremendous instincts, very creative, all those things.
Yeah, he is sort of that classic example of the auteur who's 13 years old with a little movie camera, and he's running around making movies when he's 13.
The legend of Spielberg is Legion.
Yeah, he's that guy. And he really is that guy, and you can actually see it in the films that he makes. They almost feel handmade to me in some ways, even the larger spectacle pieces that he
I would agree that used to be true. Ever since Jurassic Park was
wonderful film,
amazing.
Wonderful.
And it was still remains one of the best uses of CG, computer animation,
Absolutely,
to tell a story.
And the fact that it's seamless. It doesn't pop
It's relatively
out of the story.
seamless, and quite frankly, some of the best stuff in that movie was animatronic.
Yeah.
When it comes to that Tyrannosaurus Rex scene,
Fair
most of what works there is the animatronics, not so much the CG. But in any case, since then, his reliance on CG and his use of it, I think, has gotten a little bit away from him.
Examples.
Well, unfortunately, I have to go to something like Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. The whole sequence in the jungle. Everything with the car that has the blades on it to get through the jungle, and the monkeys, and
that was bad.
And what's his name swinging with the monkeys. And
I think I had blocked that out. You're right, that was bad.
It's unbelievable. It's besides how preposterous it is. It's just kind of a mess of imagery, just a jumble of things happening. It's kinetic as all hell, and entertaining, I guess, in a way if you don't think about it.
But to be fair, we have to say, when was that done? When was the time frame in which that was done? And even for somebody who's an auteur, we have to allot for them the ability to grow, the ability to integrate a new technique,
But that leads us to The Adventures of Tintin. All CG animated. It's an animated film. Spielberg directed, and it's just the characters are absent. They're just blank slates, and the action is incredibly Rube Goldbergian in its absurdity and visual splendor, but it is absolutely just a mess, and it's a cacophony of just nonsense at a certain point. And I think that leads us into Ready Player One, where it is a continuation of that ethos.
Oof. Yeah, we got to talk about that.
Okay, go ahead.
I liked it. I'm the guy that didn't want to see it. I'm the guy that I had fans of it telling me how excited they were, and they couldn't wait to see it, and they were just pumped as all get out. And I was like, that thing looks like a mess.
Agreed.
And then I went to go see it, and I was like, you know what? I kind of like it. I mean, and I like it in the sense that I recognize its obvious flaws, and some of those are just obvious. But despite its flaws, I enjoyed it. It was a good Saturday matinee kind of film. It had good energy to it. The storytelling is superb. There's nothing surprising here. There is no reinventing of the wheel. There's a lot of cliche in it. There are several moments that are just a little stupid, particularly towards the end. The ending is, and I'll be kind because it was just my birthday, the ending is bad.
Very kind of you. Thank you. I'm sure they appreciate that.
I'll be kind. It's a bad
ending. Those
ending.
kid gloves you're wearing.
Yeah, it's a bad ending. But there were so many great moments in it. I mean,
what? Without spoilers.
Without spoilers?
Yeah.
Well, how do we do that?
All right, we'll come back to that. We'll put a pin in that.
Okay, let's put a pin in it. I'll give a general statement. I like the reliving of many 80s tropes and how they were integrated into the fabric of the storytelling. And I like that.
Do you like that what they did with it, or do you just like that you're familiar with those 80 tropes? And that's kind of neat to see that again.
Yeah, I like it on both levels. I like the fact that I was familiar with it, and then I like the fact that they actually wove it into the thread of the story and actually gave some of those scenes stakes. Usually when you see a scene like that, the idea is to get you lost in sort of remembering. It gets to get lost in the nostalgia of it. And that's the idea of it. He didn't do that here. And this is where the storyteller came in. He took those scenes, and instead of rooting them in nostalgia, he rooted them into plot points where there were actually stakes, like it actually mattered what was happening in that scene for the entire fabric of the story. Really enjoyed that. So I enjoyed it for the nostalgia, but I also enjoyed the story elements, which I thought were brilliantly woven in some of those moments. Thought it was really, really well done.
I suppose, and I don't think this will count as a spoiler, but that
means you're about to use a spoiler.
There are moments in the book. Now, I have not read the book. I've read parts of the book and found the prose wanting. Very
novelistic. I read a couple pieces too.
Yeah.
Very novelistic writing. I mean, he glosses over a lot of pieces in the book, and I was like, wow, why was this such a great?
Yeah, it's not particularly well written, from what I say. Now,
he had never written a book before.
No,
so.
Is that true?
This is the first thing he's ever written.
Okay. I mean, he wrote a screenplay before this, and that was Fanboys. It was 2009 about friends. One of the friends was dying of cancer, and so they set about their quest was to get an early edit of The Phantom Menace, and so that he could see one last Star Wars movie before he died. The obvious joke is they should have just let him go. Sorry.
Wow. They did a nice profile on him on Sunday Magazine.
Okay.
And since I'm old now, I watch it religiously.
Uh-huh.
And it was a nice story about, sort of that story that almost never happens, where a guy writes one thing, sends it off, and he becomes a megastar overnight.
Yeah, they're optioning more of his stuff. There'll be more from Ernest Cline in the future.
Oh, yeah.
But one of the things that bothers me conceptually about this story, and particularly in the book, is part of the trials or what have you, is to reenact scenes from movies that the creator liked. So it's things like war games. You just have to memorize the dialogue and the movements, and you redo those things. But I have a fundamental issue with the conceit of this movie, and that is what Ernest Cline has done is he's basically set up his childhood and his geek knowledge as the most important thing in the universe.
That's unfair.
That's unfair. Okay, most important thing on the planet.
That's unfair.
And the creator of the Oasis is him.
That's unfair.
What he knows, his knowledge and his memories, the things that he loves, are the things that others should also love. And anything beyond that isn't relevant or important.
I think that's unfair. I think both the book and the movie have more on its mind than that. I don't think this is about just being self-aggrandizing of what you like and don't like. I think it's about more than that. And I'm very critical of many aspects of the movie, but I don't think that's what it's about. From what I understand, he made certain changes from the book to the movie that I do think critically hurt it.
Like what?
Well, from what I understand, the protagonist in the book is fat with bad skin.
Okay.
And to me, that makes a lot more sense.
Sure.
And it would make those scenes between him and the young lady play a whole lot differently.
Yes, and the young, so he's relatively attractive young guy, and she is.
She's relatively attractive with a spot on her face.
She has a birthmark that is nothing really.
Yeah, exactly. So she's a model with a spot on her face, and he's a model whose hair has been roughed up.
It's the new version of she took off her glasses.
Yeah, exactly. Like, let's put her hair up and put her in glasses, and she's a nerd.
Yeah,
oh my god!
It's absurd, and so it falls to the classic Hollywood. No, everybody has to be attractive.
Exactly. And at times I'm okay with that, except in times in which it actually cuts tension from the story. And in this case, him being fat with bad skin, that actually adds stakes and tension to the story. It makes,
to the real world story.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It makes that play out different. And when they meet, there's a different tension there that's not there because he's such a good looking guy.
And so is she.
And so is she.
A good looking girl.
Yeah, two models looking at each other. That's different than, hey, we use our avatars to project a self that we are not.
It's much less honest.
It's much less honest and much less tension. Like if you got some fat kid with some young lady who's really kind of little tough to look at with her face, and then they meet.
Or, just normal looking people.
Yeah, or normal looking. Or normal looking.
Just average, that's who people,
But even a dip below average would be nice, and I think that makes that scene, man, it has a lot more meaning. If they then can find a connection.
Yes, absolutely.
Despite it all, then that's a different story.
Like if they have that connection beyond the avatar, beyond the artifice of what they believe is attractive.
In a sense, what Steven Spielberg has done is he's created an avatar beyond the avatar. So you have these two avatars that are talking to each other, and just two life-size avatars.
They're better looking in the real world. Than in the.
They actually are more attractive than their avatar.
That's not right. That's no.
That's not right.
It's a fundamental problem.
From what I hear from the fans, also, good buddy of mine, Jamie, was hipping me to some of this. Some of the trials are far too easy as well.
Absolutely.
Just
Going, yeah, okay. Yes.
Aren't really trials.
No. Not really. I mean, a little, yeah, not really.
Not really.
So I guess we need to jump into spoilers now. Spoiler territory. This is your moment to pause and come back if you need to, or if you don't care. As
spoilers in this bitch.
As maybe you shouldn't with this film. Stick with us. All right, the trials. The first one is go backwards.
Drive your car backwards.
Drive your car backwards, and everything will be fine.
Yep, that's it.
Awesome. The second one is jump around on some dead bodies. Right, and just say to a lady, "Hey, lady, hey, lady."
Exactly.
And then the third,
and to give you a little more context to that, they're like floating.
They're floating. Yeah, okay. It is more difficult than.
Yeah, they're floating bodies in space, and they need to get a young lady so they can dance with her because they're creative.
And before we jump to the third, the lead up to that trial, you loved. That is all of the Shining stuff. They visit Shining Land. It's like
it was outstanding.
It's like the best Disney theme park you could imagine if you're a Stanley Kubrick fan.
And to give it more detail, essentially the characters fall into the world of The Shining. And I think they do something really brilliant, which I really loved, which is they made it so that one of the people, part of the group, there's sort of a group of people that are going through this journey together. One of the people, played by, what's the young lady's name who did The Shy? Lena something or other?
It is, I don't have it here, sorry.
I think her name is Lena Waite, maybe, or Lena something. And she is a really wonderful writer who's responsible for the show. The Shy. She recently, I think, won a Golden Globe or something, some high level award. And basically, they make her the surrogate for those people who don't know what The Shining is. Mm-hmm. So although we all know The Shining, they give us this character who doesn't. And so there's this tension of dramatic irony because we have this person going through The Shining who doesn't know the obvious stuff that we all know. Mm-hmm. No, don't hug the lady in the bathtub.
Yeah, don't go into room, 240, whatever.
Yeah, don't chase the twins. No, twins bad.
Stay away from elevators.
Yeah, stay away from
for the love
blood.
Of God.
Yeah, the elevator filled with blood. And so I just thought that was
By the way, I hated that's another animated moment that I found obnoxious was the River of Blood.
River of Blood was great.
It was just it turned into like the River Wild all of a sudden. It's just
the River of Blood is one of the best things in the movie. Wow. That was outstanding.
The lead up to it, but it's the actual floating down the river and under grabbing on the wall.
Middle,
it's just
end, and then when it floats to us, almost as though into the camera as she's being washed away by this river of blood, and she's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. Oofa.
Nah, it's just another animated nonsense.
I thought that was great. I really did. I thought the axe through the door. I thought we might even get a chance.
I really wanted to see Jack.
That's what I thought. I thought we were going to get.
Oh, wouldn't that have been great?
Jack Nicholson.
We did see somebody there was a brief shot of a Jack Nicholson character, not his face, but a body from behind. We see him limping with the axe, and then that goes away, and it's just it turns into Axe World.
And there were a few moments like that I thought was good. I love Chucky jumping out and jumping in the car and attacking people on the battlefield. I thought was really
it was funny. I just can't get over the thing where it's kids at that time. I guess it's their job to know all of this stuff, but it's just it stretches credulity for me that anybody knows at that time who the hell Chucky is. The lead character, he dresses up as Buckaroo Banzai and says it's his favorite film. At the time, Buckaroo Banzai was a bad film. There's a handful of nerds out there.
It was a bad film.
There are a handful of nerds out there that think it's amazing and one of these great things. It's unwatchable.
There's a difference between a bad film
and the idea
and a campy film.
It's campy, but also bad. It's unwatchable. And the idea that any kid in the future's favorite movie will be Buckaroo Banzai Absolutely not.
Of course, there'll be a person in the future that.
But nobody else is going to say, "Oh, Buckaroo Banzai, awesome, well done." You'd have to explain. That kid has to explain this everywhere he goes.
I mean, at a certain point, I hate to bring this up because it's rarely relevant, but when something resonates the way this has, that might be proof that there is an audience out there that's resonating to just that very thing. They're resonating to it. I mean, this thing is not being made by Steven Spielberg because it bombed. It's being made by Steven Spielberg because it hit a chord and just set on fire. People are reacting to it. Young people are reacting to it. That means that it's resonating with some community of young people.
Okay.
So that is its own.
But you
evidence.
think they're going to get into Buckaroo Banzai?
Certainly. I think there are a certain set of people that love to like things just because other people don't know it and like it. That literally gets their rocks off.
Yeah, but those are bad people.
To some degree, we are those people.
I know.
LJ, you know?
I knew the irony of saying it immediately. I was completely aware. I was hoping you wouldn't call me on it.
So, yeah.
But I am well aware that I am the monster. I've hoisted myself in my own petard here.
So, yeah, there's an audience for that.
I am Jekyll and Hyde.
Jekyll and Hyde at the same time.
So that brings us to Trial 3, which I don't even remember. What was that? Okay, here's Trial 3. This is the thing that bothered me the most.
It's adventure, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The conceit of the final Easter egg is go to Death Mountain or whatever and play old Atari games. And they're all there, and everybody's trying it, and they think it's going to be an adventure. And turns out, yes, it is, but nobody knows that except for our main character. The only problem is, I've been a lifelong gamer. Atari was before my time, but...
Thanks for that, LJ.
Sorry?
You bastard.
Well...
I remember taking my 2600 out of the box.
Did you play Adventure back in the day?
Of course.
Okay.
I was more of a Pitfall guy.
Sure. I played, to be fair, I played Pitfall 2 on a PC Junior.
Oh, wow.
Do you remember those things?
I do.
My dad picked up one of those.
They were better.
Sure. Much more expensive. And I had to learn how to do stuff in DOS just to get certain games to work. I don't know how old. I didn't know what I was doing. I was just typing in whatever I could, figure out. No internet. I don't know what the hell. Boot disks I had to create somehow.
Oh my God.
I don't even know how I did it. In any case, so adventure is... If you're in the gaming scene, you're likely to know that adventure is the most famous Easter egg of all time in video games. Mm-hmm. And the idea that anybody who has steeped themselves in that culture and has access to the internet would not know that is absurd. Did the internet just go away? The Oasis is all there is now, and they... only have books?
Yeah, but I mean, I think I don't know.
No, to be fair, this is a huge nit to pick. Nobody cares, but it bothered me.
Well, I get it, but I mean, for me, who I didn't know about that Easter egg.
Did not.
No.
Yeah.
Of course not.
Well, of course you didn't. Because you're not hip and cool like I am. You're not a gatekeeper. You aren't. You aren't Anaric Holiday or whatever the guy's name is. Mark Rylance. I am Rylance, sir.
Yeah,
I am the gatekeeper of all that is important knowledge, and you do not belong in the Oasis. You do not get to participate in my game.
And the sad part is I've come to the part of my life where I don't know if I'm just ignorant or I just forgot. It really is a 50-50 flip.
Sure.
I might have known and forgotten it. So I didn't know that, but I think it's okay. I think it works fine. There's a small group of people.
No, sure, it doesn't matter.
But I can understand that there is a group of people that would be really annoying to. A core amount of people that'd be like, that's just
the
not
thing that's
smart.
happening out on the internet now is if you are into games,
it's just
the less you know about games, the more likely it is you'll enjoy this movie.
Because it's not smart. It's not smart for that audience.
Well, to be fair, I'm not. I don't want to paint gamers as smart.
Well, smart in terms of
it's not that they're dumb. It's just like gaming doesn't make you smart.
It's not smart writing in the sense that it doesn't.
It's not aware enough of
it's
the
not
thing
aware and
it's
knowledgeable enough
about
what it's talking about in that sense.
Or it doesn't care, or it's not trying to be.
Yeah.
It's more likely that they're not making it for gamers. They're making it for everybody else. And they need to bring in the people who don't know any of this stuff in along with them. Fair enough. Let's talk about the ending. You hate it.
I just thought it was bad. I just thought it was bad. You pointed out, which is...
All right, so here's my thing. Yeah. So the bad guy...
He's pointing a gun.
Ben Mendelsohn plays Sorrento. By the way, what does that company do?
I don't know.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
No idea. You want to know what they do?
What?
And this is in the book. I actually called my sister, and she's read the book. I was like, she's explaining to me, like, what things that are explained in the book and never come up in the movie. What they do is they make, the way they make their money is they make things. They make objects and avatars and whatever for the Oasis. That's where they make their money. And they sell those things.
Had no clue.
Yeah, of course not.
They just were standing in as the big evil corporate.
Yes, exactly.
Interest.
They're just big, bad, evil, blah, blah, blah.
Exactly.
Because they want to turn the Oasis into an advertising extravaganza. So that guy, he goes to find the real world hero in a van. He's got his gun, and he's a monster. And he's murdered people. He's murdered people up to this point.
He's ordered murder in the film.
And he opens the door. And we see, what's this kid's name? Ty Sheridan, Wade. We see him in the suit receiving the ultimate golden Easter egg. And his suit emits this golden light from his hands. His heart is changed. The bad guy's heart
He's
melts.
mesmerized.
But
his heart hasn't changed.
It grows 3 sizes that day. The moment he saw yellow light is when he decides, you know what? I've been going about all this murder business all wrong.
There's light.
Holy crap. You know what I've never seen before is yellow light. And I got to tell you, I like it. I like it. It's what I've been missing.
Yeah, it makes no sense.
I'm going to turn this whole thing around. Everything I've been working toward this whole movie for nefarious purposes. It's my reason for being. You know what? Throw it out.
But then they throw him in the police car, and we get the sense that he hasn't changed.
Of course not, because it doesn't work.
It's ridiculous. It's almost like he changes because he needs to for the ending of the film.
I mean, all those, of course, and all those people that are there to stop him from doing what he's going to do. He just brandishes a gun, and they all just part like the Red Sea. So that he can have his heart moved and
nobody
changed.
Grabs him, even though he's walking through a crowd. They could just really rush the guy and throw him to the ground, but no. It's a bad ending. And then, what I do respect about the film, though, is that most people would have ended there and just say, "Okay, we got a bad ending." This tacks like 2 or 3 bad endings onto this ending, so it ends 3 times. Each one worse than the one before it.
All right, what's the next one?
So then the next scene is essentially the Simon Pegg character.
Oh, yeah. By the way, wasn't he out of the company?
Yeah.
It was clear to me, as best as I could tell, he was not involved with the company. And here he was handing over the keys to the company.
Yeah.
How?
So...
How does that happen?
Simon Pegg and Wade have this moment where they're talking, and it was like, the whole movie that we built the entire premise around, that's all bullshit. About him believing that his worst defeat was the fact that he didn't kiss a girl that he loved or didn't take the chance on love. No, that's... It
was saying goodbye to his friend.
I'm like, what? I'm like, that's stupid. That's far less interesting. And it's stupid, and it comes from nowhere, and it invalidates all of
everything
the stuff
we've
seen before that. That's all just bullshit we were doing. So that's stupid. I'm like, okay.
I mean, I guess you could. I think you can draw some lines between those because to be fair, the first thing going backwards, you could say is yes, go backwards in his relationship with his friend. The girl, you could also say, is this connection to his friend, which makes the girl obviously no longer a human being and more of a prop, in his relationship with another man.
Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, if you want to build a movie around that, oh man, I lost my friendship with my dude. Okay, I guess. I mean,
But you kicked him out of the company. That's you. You did
yeah,
that.
I mean, it just makes no sense. So that's the second.
But yet he's not out.
Yeah, he's not out, and he's in,
Somehow.
and then that's a bad ending. So I'm like, oh, that's stupid. And that's almost worse than the golden light egg moment. And so then we go from that.
No, the egg moment's way. No,
this
the
is
golden
worse.
light. Okay.
No, at least with the golden light, we at least had a gun.
You just look at his face. The light's so pretty. Oh my goodness.
No, they're both awful. But I'm saying the moment with him, and it's just he just loved his friend. That just I literally was like, ugh, that's so awful. It's stupid. And it was like Disney-esque. I was like, oh.
Yeah, I guess.
That's just bad. And
right.
so then they go from that.
Part 3 of the ending.
And then we go to the third ending where, and I end up with the girl too. See, I'm not like that guy. I decided dating chicks is much better. Okay, I guess.
Well, there's that, but there's also the thing where they shut down the Oasis for 2 days a week.
That's all part of that. We've learned a lesson. We need to get off the computer.
No. Yeah, but here's the problem with that. You can get off the computer because you have a trillion, billion, million, gazillion dollars. You have this awesome house, and you and your friends have all the money in the world. Remember everybody else? But remember their life? That
wasn't even my issue with it. My issue with it is that I hate it when the writer actually appears on screen and says, stop the picture. I need to deliver a message to you.
Oh, yeah.
Here's the message portion of my film. And then please open your throat. I have a funnel here.
Everything we've been aggrandizing and deifying as amazing and great.
Yeah.
You know what? Yeah, you shouldn't enjoy that.
You should enjoy that. I'm going to shove this funnel down your throat so I can pour this message down your throat. Why don't you go hug a girl and get off the computer? I'm like, okay, I get it. But can we be more subtle? I mean, can we be more ambiguous?
I guess.
Can it be a natural arc?
No, this isn't the movie that's going to do that.
This is not these people. That's not Wade Wilson. Wade Wilson isn't going to get off the computer for a couple days.
I forgot his name's Wade Wilson.
Total bullshit. I didn't buy it because that's not a natural arc for that character.
It's Spielberg.
There are times where I've written plays. Because when we're not here nerding out, we're both playwrights. So there are times when I'm writing a play and somebody will come up and say, man, I really hated the ending of that play. And I'll look them back in their eyes and say, you know what? I hated it too. I wish it was a happier ending myself.
Yeah.
But the arc didn't allow for that.
Yeah. This
is the way those characters kind of had to end. If I would have ended it anywhere else, it wouldn't have been true to those characters.
But that is not Spielberg's instinct.
No.
If he has a failing, that's it.
He did the same thing in Color Purple. And it wasn't his fault because that was partially Alice Walker, but you have basically Mister, who's a piece of shit the entire film.
Yeah.
He's beating people, raping, but at the end it's like, hey, let me go get the money and get her family back together. Bullshit. Total bullshit. That's not a real arc. People don't change like that, or at least not that radically. I don't buy it. I don't think it works dramatically. And he does the same thing here where I'm like, the fuck out of here. Yeah. I don't buy that. I don't buy that from him. I don't buy that from his girlfriend where they're basically...
And especially not the villain.
Oh my God, stop it.
Of the piece.
Yeah, they all have these unnatural arcs that don't make sense.
Spielberg is a slave to his crowd-pleasing sensibilities.
Absolutely. I agree with
that. Ultimately, this movie feels like a movie. I don't think it's a movie he wanted to make. I don't think it's a story he wanted to tell. I think it's a story he thought other people wanted to see.
No, I disagree with that. I think he wanted to get back on the train. I think he wanted something fast-paced, hip, slick. I think he wanted to tell this kind of story and get back in the fight. I think he wanted to be hip again. It's like when your damn mama decided she wants to listen to Cardi B.
Yeah, but that doesn't work. You want to be hip again?
I agree.
It doesn't work.
I agree it could be problematic. I agree with that. I think this was a film for a younger director, and that's unfair. But I think this was a film for a younger director with a younger vision. I think he's almost implemented.
One of the issues is the nostalgia that the movie and the book so aggrandizes. Spielberg is largely responsible for. He made that kid's childhood. He made Ernest Cline's childhood in so many ways.
Fair point.
And now Spielberg's he's regurgitating his own influences?
Fair point.
That's weird.
Well, it's not only weird, it's...
incestuous?
It's incestuous, but I think it ultimately can't work. I don't think you can regurgitate your own history. You can't react to it in the same way. You can't deconstruct it.
I mean, to be fair, I think there's more in the book that is Spielberg-centric, and I think he wanted to take a lot of that out.
Fair point.
But there's still plenty in there that's Spielberg.
I still wonder why they changed from the book. Like in the book, which I thought was an interesting choice they made in the movie, for some reason, they took a lot of the technology and put it outside. Because in the book, from what I understand, they almost are all homebound. And we get all of these street scenes where people are walking along the streets with these head things. And I think that changed the feel of the movie. I wonder what that decision was about.
I think it's just visual. I think it's just Spielberg wanted to make it more a visual thing.
That works a lot better than a bunch of people sitting in their house being 500 pounds and shut in.
And it also leads to the dichotomy of one of your favorite scenes, and mine, actually. The funniest moment in the movie is actually when all the little minions at Evil Corp are trying to make it through Shining World.
I love that scene.
That is a great little, I mean, it's like 10 seconds or whatever, but it is delightful.
It is. It's a wonderful scene.
But seeing the Halo soldiers and then just humans on the street running down the street, they're going to get run over, or they're going to run into a wall in the real world. It doesn't work. I mean, none of the VR stuff works. Notice they have to actually move their bodies, but they do things in the VR world that would require them to do crazy stuff that physically doesn't work based on most of the way that their rigs are set up.
Good point.
You're not supposed to worry about that. It doesn't matter. It's a movie. But the last thing I want to say about the film is it's nice to hear. I had the impression that we had an Alan Silvestri score here. I didn't look it up before we saw the movie, but there were moments here and there. I was like, somebody is doing a damn good Alan Silvestri impression.
And it was Alan
Silvestri of Back to the Future fame, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, worked with Zemeckis a lot. Lately, his scores have not been particularly memorable, and I don't think this one is either. But there were those moments where I heard that classic Silvestri sting. Or there were a couple of notes that were just, I mean, you could say he's plagiarizing himself in ways, but man, it was good to hear. That was the nostalgia for me. That's what worked for me. That's what hit the dopamine center of my brain was those, it was not the old Silvestri, it was him he's kind of playing himself as a younger composer in a way, which is also weird for him to do, just as it is for Spielberg. But oddly, that made me feel like, man, I wish, let me go back and watch some of those old Silvestri scored movies, because this one's not working.
I also have to check in, I would have to check this out, but from what I understand, and if I'm incorrect, please somebody call me and correct me, but I believe from what I was told, in the book, the character played by the young lady who was African-American and lesbian, I think her avatar in the book is either white or blonde or something opposite what she looks like.
Interesting.
And in the book, that plays as somebody who is in some ways rejecting her own ethnicity in order to project a more dominant culture look.
Right.
And that would have been a really interesting kind of wrinkle in the film. I understand why there's not time to have that.
That's a very complicated issue.
That's a complicated conversation.
This movie isn't up to.
but that would have been an interesting thing, because I do like the scene where they're meeting in the real world and they have to figure out who's who and why.
Yeah.
I thought that was nicely done. And there are a couple little scenes like that. I love those scenes. I thought those were good.
Bit of business. Subscribe on Apple Podcasts. Subscribe on Google Play. Check us out at disagreepodcast.com. Subscribe whatever software you use. And drop us some reviews. We'd love to see some reviews on the iTunes, the Google Play, Apple Podcasts. Let us know what you think. And we'll talk at you next week.
Peace and chicken grease.